So, I wanted to share this video because I wanted to demonstrate the ways that yoga is beneficial outside of the physical movements that we use it for. Sometimes yoga can be just trying to feel your body. I edited this video down, but the first 5 minutes or so of this session I spent just trying to get comfortable. I remember I was feeling so disheveled. I had a really emotional day, and my mind and emotions were everywhere. And because of that, I was so tense. I actually had to sit on the largest and thickest bolster I have and place blocks under my knees at one point because I was so tense and my hips really needed that extra support. I normally don't do that. Normally, I can sit on the ground, no blocks or bolster, and I usually can find my center in that position. So I know that in my practice, I really can't benefit from any of the poses or exercises I do until I can feel my body and feel grounded. But because I was so tense and having such an emotional day, I really just struggled to find a comfortable seated position. And that's okay because that's kind of what yoga is for. Yoga is really about connecting to yourself, getting feedback from your body, your mind, your thoughts, and feelings, and using that feedback to create balance within yourself. So I did that on this day. I spent a majority of this session here just getting into my body and trying to release some tension. And this particular day, I went into my practice knowing I was going to struggle with getting comfortable, and I went into it knowing that I would need to adjust more as necessary, and that what I needed was going to be different than what I usually need when I practice. But I wanted to share this video to show you that yoga isn't about doing all the poses. It isn't about being perfect every day. It isn't about showing up on your mat, being prepared to do an hour-long sequence. Yoga really is meant to connect. In Sanskrit, yoga literally means to yoke or to join, and that's the whole practice. Connecting our mind, body, and spirit to one another through conscious awareness that we create of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations that make their way through our being. And we do this by focusing our attention on our breath. That's why in this video, you can see that most of the time I spent just focusing on my breathing. I didn't do a whole lot else than just breathing. And even that was a challenge, if you can imagine breathing being a challenge. But it is when you're tense, anxious, emotional, and just messy. It's not productive to fight against tension, discord, or imbalance. It's not productive to not allow space for yourself to experience those things because then you don't allow it to subside either. If you don't allow something to exist within a space, then you can't actually give it the space to dissipate either. Now, of course, the cats helped. They chose to involve themselves as cats do, which it's kind of funny because usually they leave me alone when I do yoga as if they kind of understand that I try to focus when I'm doing yoga. But this particular time, I feel like they must have sensed that I was feeling off this particular day, and so they just kind of came around and got my attention more often than they usually would. So they kind of kept me focused and a little more positive than I would have been otherwise. But this was an important moment I wanted to share because I really spent this yoga moment with myself to just find some kind of grounding. I didn't want to push myself to be anything more than messy, emotional, and struggling. And by using that feedback, I was able to find some grounding, to find a space where I could release that tension and then build from there. So this video isn't glamorous. And of course, I apologize for the poor camera work here, but it's almost a symbol of how off I was feeling that day. Um, and it's not really, this video is not a great example of what my body is capable of on my best days, but I wanted to share this video just to demonstrate why yoga is so powerful and the broad spectrum of uses it has for us, including to simply just give us a practice where we can sit, become more present and connected, accept ourselves for where we're at in any given moment, and release that tension.